The train left King's Cross at 1942 on a Thursday in late October, Platform 9 already emptying, the last commuters hurrying toward the underground while the sleeper to Edinburgh slid out into the dark. Carriage D was half full. Business travelers with laptops still open, a young couple sharing earbuds, an elderly man reading a dog-eared paperback with the spine broken so badly the title page had come loose. Seat 17A was by the window, facing forward, reserved in the name of R. Langford. No one named Langford boarded. At Peterborough, the carriage had thinned further. The couple left at Grantham. The elderly man dozed against the headrest, book slipping to the floor. By York, the lights dimmed to a soft amber, and most passengers had drawn their curtains or pulled down the privacy screens on the berths. The train settled into the long northern run, rhythmic clatter of bogies, occasional flash of level crossing lights, the low moan of the horn at distant junctions. At seat 17A, the reservation card remained in its plastic holder. No luggage occupied the overhead rack. No coat hung on the hook. Yet the seat was occupied. The woman who sat there wore a charcoal overcoat buttoned to the throat, collar turned up, dark hair tucked behind one ear. She kept her hands folded in her lap, fingers interlaced, thumbs circling slowly. Her face was turned toward the window, even though there was nothing to see except her own reflection against black glass and the occasional smear of sodium streetlight. She had not moved since Doncaster. Her name was not R. Langford. It was Nora Calder. She had bought the ticket in cash at the self-service machine 2 days earlier, using the name on an expired student rail card she had found in a charity shop coat pocket. She had no return journey planned. She had no destination beyond north. She simply needed distance. Nora was 36, 5'7" in bare feet, 123 pounds on the morning she stepped on the scales for the last time. She had cut her hair to chin length the week before, dyed it the color of wet slate, and stopped wearing makeup because her hands shook too much to apply eyeliner. She had left her phone in a bin outside Euston Station. Screen cracked, SIM card snapped in half. In her coat pocket were 3 things: a folded 20-pound note, a half-empty pack of spearmint gum, and a small brass key attached to a luggage tag that read room 312, the Imperial Hotel, Aberdeen. She had never stayed at the Imperial Hotel in Aberdeen. The key had belonged to her sister, Margot, who disappeared from that room on the night of February 14, 2019. Margot had checked in alone, ordered room service, grilled sea bass, glass of Sancerre, creme brulee she did not eat, spoken to no one after the porter delivered the tray, and then, according to the night manager, simply ceased to exist between 23:41 and 6:17. The bed was made. The television was off. The bathroom mirror was still fogged from a shower that had run cold. On the desk lay a single sheet of hotel notepaper with 3 words written in Margot's neat, left slanting hand. "Don't follow me." Police searched for 6 weeks. They found nothing, no bank withdrawals, no mobile pings, no CCTV sightings beyond the lobby at 2258. The case became one of those quiet files that sit in a drawer marked unresolved. Nora kept the key because it was the last thing her sister had touched. She kept it in the same envelope as the condolence cards she never opened. Tonight, on this train, Nora intended to use the key. She had no plan beyond arriving in Aberdeen, walking to the Imperial, letting herself into room 312, sitting on the same bed Margot had slept in, and waiting to see what happened. If nothing happened, she would leave the key on the pillow and walk into the North Sea until the water closed over her head. If something did happen, well, that was the part she had not yet rehearsed. The train slowed for Newcastle. A handful of passengers boarded. One of them, a man in his late 40s, navy peacoat, wire-framed glasses, carry-on wheeled bag, paused at the end of the carriage, scanned the reservation cards, and stopped at 17A. He looked at the card. He looked at Nora. He smiled, small, polite, the smile of someone who has already decided what the situation is. "Excuse me," he said. "I think there's been a mistake. This seat is reserved for our Langford." Nora did not turn her head. She kept watching her reflection. The man waited a beat, then set his bag on the seat opposite and sat down. "I'm Richard Langford," he said. "Our Langford. That's me." Nora's thumbs stopped circling. He opened his bag, took out a small notebook and a fountain pen, and laid them on the table between them. "You're in my seat," he said again gently. Nora finally looked at him. He had kind eyes, hazel, flecked with green, and a short beard that was more salt than pepper. His hands were steady, no wedding ring. A thin white scar ran across the back of his left wrist, old enough to be silver. "I bought this ticket," she said. "I know. I watched you do it. Tuesday, 1422. Machine number 7 at King's Cross." Nora felt the skin on her forearms tighten. "You followed me?" "I was already there," he said. "I have the same ticket, same carriage, same seat, different name on the reservation, that's all." He tapped the plastic holder. "Our Langford, Richard. The computer doesn't care about first names." Nora looked back at the window. Her reflection looked frightened. "I'm not moving," she said. "I'm not asking you to," Richard said. "I'm asking if I can sit here. There are no other seats with a table and a window. I need to work." She said nothing. He opened the notebook. The pages were filled with neat handwriting. Columns of dates, times, locations, descriptions. At the top of the current page was written, October 17th, 2023, King's Cross, Aberdeen Sleeper. Carriage D, Seat 17A. Subject, female, mid-30s, dark coat, no luggage beyond coat pockets. Nora stared at the page. "You're writing about me." "I write about everyone," he said. "It's my job." "What job?" "Passenger manifest verification." Or it was. Now it's something else. He closed the notebook. "I work for the railway," he continued. "Or I did. 23 years. Mostly in the control room at York. Timetabling, delay attribution, that sort of thing. Then in 2019 they created a new department. Very quiet, very small. They called it continuity assurance. My job was to ride the sleepers once or twice a month, sit in reserved seats, make sure the right people were in them. Or rather, make sure the wrong people weren't. Nora's mouth felt dry. "Wrong people? People who shouldn't be there," he said. "People who bought tickets with names that didn't match any known booking reference. People who traveled under names that had already been used. People who disappeared between stations and left the seat looking exactly as it had when they boarded." He looked at her directly. "People like your sister." Nora's breath caught. "You knew Margot?" "I was on the train the night she disappeared," he said. "Not this service. The Highland sleeper to Inverness. She was in seat 9F. She boarded at Edinburgh Waverley. She never got off at Inverness. The berth was empty, bed made, curtain drawn, reservation card still in the holder. But the key to her hotel room in Aberdeen was on the pillow. He reached into his coat pocket and produced an identical brass key, same tag, same room number. Nora stared at it. "She left it for me," he said. "Or someone left it for me. I've been carrying it ever since." "Why?" "Because the train keeps calling her back," he said. "Every few months a ticket is booked in her name. Different carriage, different seat. Always a sleeper. Always northbound. Always to Aberdeen or Inverness. And every time, the seat is occupied by someone who looks very much like her. Same height, same build, Same haircut she had the month she disappeared. Same way of sitting, hands folded, thumbs circling. Same coat. He nodded toward her. Same coat. Nora looked down at the charcoal overcoat. It had been Margot's. She had taken it from the wardrobe the day after the police closed the case. "I'm not her," she said. "I know," Richard said. "You're Nora, younger sister, translator, lives in Archway, left your flat 3 days ago, left your phone in a bin at Euston, bought the ticket in cash. You're not trying to disappear. You're trying to find her." Nora felt tears prick the corners of her eyes. "How do you know all this?" "Because I've been waiting for you," he said. "The train told me you were coming." "The train." He looked out the window. The landscape was empty now. Black fields, distant motorways lit by moving headlights, the occasional flare of a bonfire. "It remembers," he said, "every passenger, every seat, every name on every reservation card. When someone leaves a piece of themselves behind, a key, a note, a hair on the headrest, the train keeps it. And when the conditions are right, it uses that piece to bring someone else. Someone who can finish what the first person started." He opened his notebook again. "Look at the dates." He turned pages. There were dozens of entries. February 14th, 2019, Margot Calder, Highland Sleeper, Seat 9F, Edinburgh, Inverness. Disappeared. Key left on pillow. June 22nd, 2019, female, mid-30s, Seat 12D, Caledonian Sleeper. Disappeared between Crewe and Preston. November 17th, 2019, female, Seat 17A, this service. Disappeared at Edinburgh. March 3rd, 2020, female, Seat 8B. The list continued. Names she did not recognize. Dates she did not recognize. But every entry ended the same way. Disappeared. Key left. Or note. Or nothing at all. "And now you," Richard said. October 2023. Seat 17A. Nora Calder. Sister of Margot. Same coat. Same key in the pocket. Same destination. Same intention. Nora's voice was barely a whisper. "What happens when we reach Aberdeen?" "If you get off, nothing," he said. "You walk to the Imperial. You let yourself into 312. You sit on the bed. You wait. If you're lucky, nothing happens. You leave the key and go home. If you're unlucky, the room is already occupied by someone who looks like you, who talks like you, who remembers everything you remember, except the part where Margot disappeared. She'll tell you she's been waiting. She'll ask why it took you so long. And then you won't leave either." Nora stared at the key in his hand. "And if I stay on the train?" "Then the train decides," he said. "It's been doing this for decades, longer than I've worked for it. Every few years it takes someone. Sometimes it gives someone back. But it always balances the books. 1 in, 1 out. Or 2 in, none out. It depends on how hungry it is." The train slowed. Crewe was approaching, bright platform lights, cold wind sweeping litter along the track. Richard stood up. "I have to check the other carriages," he said. "Make sure no one else is in the wrong seat tonight. When I come back, you need to decide. Get off at Edinburgh and go home. Or stay until Aberdeen and take your chances with room 312. Or," he hesitated, "stay on the train, all the way, past Aberdeen, past Inverness, into the sidings at Georgemoss Junction where no passenger train has any business going. That's where it keeps the ones who never got off." He looked at her for a long moment. "I'll be back before Edinburgh," he said. "Think about it." He walked away down the carriage. Nora sat alone. She took the key from her pocket and laid it on the table. It gleamed under the reading light. She stared at it until the reflection hurt her eyes. The train pulled out of crew. She thought about Margot's last text message, sent at 22:47 on February 14th, 2019. "I'm sorry. I love you. Don't look for me." She thought about the police officer who had patted her shoulder and said, "Sometimes people just need to disappear." She thought about the nights she had sat in Margot's flat, wearing her coat, smelling her perfume on the collar, pretending her sister was in the next room. She picked up the key. She stood up. She walked to the end of the carriage, through the vestibule, into the next. The corridor lights were dim. Most berths were curtained. She kept walking. She found Richard in carriage E, checking reservation cards with a small torch. He looked up. "You've decided," he said. It was not a question. "I want to see her," Nora said. He nodded once. "Then we stay on the train." He led her back to 17A. They sat opposite each other in silence as the train climbed through the Pennines. Rain began to streak the windows. The horn sounded long and low at every crossing. At Edinburgh, the platform was empty. No one boarded. No one left. The train waited 5 minutes. Long enough for anyone who wanted to change their mind. Nora did not move. Richard did not move. At 2:47, the train pulled away from Waverley. Beyond Edinburgh, the line narrowed. Single track in places. Signal boxes dark. Level crossings unguarded. The landscape grew emptier. Moorland, forestry plantations. The occasional lighted farm window like a lonely eye. At 4:12, Richard spoke for the first time since Edinburgh. "It starts soon," he said. Nora felt it before she saw it. The lights in the carriage dimmed further. The heating vents sighed once, then went quiet. The train slowed, not at a station, but in the middle of nowhere. Trees pressed close on both sides. No lights, no road, only the moon on wet rails. The train stopped. Silence. Then a soft click. Every reservation card holder releasing at once. The cards fluttered to the floor like white moths. Richard stood. "Come," he said. He led her through the carriages. Curtains parted as they passed. Faces looked out, pale, expectant. Some she recognized from the manifest he had shown her. Some she did not. All of them watched her with the same calm certainty. They reached the rear of the train. The last carriage was different. No seats, no berths, only a single corridor, long, narrow, lit by a single bulb at the far end. The walls were paneled in dark wood. The carpet was deep red. At the end of the corridor stood a door. Room 312, the Imperial Hotel, Aberdeen. The brass plate gleamed. Nora walked toward it. Richard stayed where he was. "This is where I get off," he said. "I've done my part. The train needed a witness. That's all I ever was." He held out Margot's key. Nora took it. She fitted it into the lock. Turned easily. She opened the door. The room beyond was exactly as Margot had left it. Bed made. Tray on the desk. Sea base untouched. Sancerre warm. Creme brulee cracked. Bathroom mirror still fogged. On the pillow lay a single sheet of hotel notepaper. Nora stepped inside. The door closed behind her. She heard the lock click. She walked to the bed and sat down. She waited. Minutes passed. Or hours. Time felt elastic. Then the bathroom door opened. Margot stepped out. She wore the same gray dress she had worn the night she disappeared. Her hair was longer. Her eyes were the same gray as Nora's. She smiled, small, sad, almost kind. "You came," she said. Nora felt tears on her cheeks. "I had to." Margot sat beside her. "You shouldn't have," she said. "But I'm glad you did." They sat in silence for a long time. Outside, the train began to move again. Slowly at first, then faster. The sound of wheels on rails grew distant. Margot reached over and took Nora's hand. "The train will take us where it needs us," she said. "It always does." Nora looked at the window. There was no reflection, only darkness, and somewhere far ahead, another platform waiting under cold sodium lights. Another seat reserved. Another name on a card. The train kept going. It always kept going.